Welcome to the 2023 MindBridge Edge Conference, the Human Edge. It's a thrill and an honor to be introducing our next speaker. As a member of their MindBridge account team, I have had a front row seat to the degree of visionary planning, preparation, and demonstrated leadership that was immediately evident from the moment we kicked off implementation with this individual and their team. And it's been ongoing since then. One of the most prepared I've actually experienced in my 7+ years at MindBridge, not to mention warm, collaborative, and gracious in all our various calls and in-person meetings this spring. For anyone who knows Jeff Kovacs, I'm sure this comes as no surprise. At the time we began working together, Jeff served in the role of audit partner and technology and life sciences industry leader at Burden LLP. He most recently has been appointed president of Citron Cooperman and Company. Jeff's belief is that the combination of people, process, and technology is what underpins change and has made him a force in the accounting industry for close to 4 decades. Jeff has been recognized as a top 40 under 40, a notable leader, and a member to Dynamic Audit Solution Advisory, stakeholder, and change management groups. We are privileged to have him guide us through our next session, Adapting for Success. Delivering the audit of the future requires effective change management. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Thank you so much, Danielle, for that extremely warm introduction. And thank you, everybody, for welcoming me to this session today. I'm excited to talk to you about this topic because, as Danielle mentioned, for nearly 4 decades, I've lived at the intersection of innovation and change management. And so today, we'd like to design an agenda and walk you through an agenda that is designed to give you some perspective on our innovation backgrounds and the importance of setting a vision for change management. After that, we'll talk about discussing some implementation and change management approaches that may help you along your change management journey. And after that, I'd like to share why we believe that MindBridge is an important part of our vision for the audit of the future and what sets them apart. And then finally, I'll give you a little bit of a glimpse into where we believe our firm is going as part of the audit profession and the role that innovation and change management is playing as part of all of that for us. So let's kick it off by just kind of setting the stage a bit and talking about our innovation background and setting the vision and the importance of all of this and setting the vision to build upon everything that comes after that. I love quotes, I'm sure many of you do too. It helps give me some perspective sometimes. And I'm sure many of you have seen this quote by Henry Ford that says, "If I had asked the public what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse." And I love this quote because I use it often when talking to colleagues about change management, because change is hard. Most humans are change adverse by nature. It's not a comfortable place for them to be. And yet it's very easy for them to kind of settling into wanting a faster horse. So we start with developing that vision for the future. Henry Ford had that vision for the future and charting a course for that future. It's hard work. It's hard work for us to figure out what the vision is, sort of where we're at, where we want to go, and then the really hard work of how we're going to get there. So executing on that strategy is incredibly difficult. Asking for that faster horse is easy, but quite frankly, it's unacceptable. And if we are to evolve and create a new reality, we need something better than just a faster horse. So you're probably sitting here wondering why I'm the one talking to you about this subject. I've been very, very blessed to have a very unusual career in public accounting. As Danielle said, has spanned nearly 4 decades. It's enabled me to serve in a variety of client-facing and operational roles, all of which to have varying degrees of change management and adaptation responsibilities that come along with them. Most importantly, I've been blessed to work alongside some of the most creative and visionary minds in our profession. And that's extremely energizing, and that's what makes the job so much fun. When you collaborate in a culture that fosters innovation, these creative minds accelerate the critical elements to developing and executing any change management strategy. And so we've built upon those creative minds and that culture and collaboration of innovation to help set our perspective and our vision gathering, which we view as the first phase of any change management strategy. We really needed to gain a perspective of where we're at as a profession and as a firm within that profession. So this encompasses both operational assessments and client-facing assessments. And that process led initially to assess the methodologies that we're using. We view the methodology assessment as the hub of the wheel and everything that revolves around it on the spokes of the wheel as contributing to the effective use of that methodology. What we learned was that our existing audit methodologies are disconnected and they're not optimized. And that leads to very poor risk assessments in some cases when we're conducting our audits. It also led to weaknesses in our ability to understand our clients and the operational environment that they work in. And of course, that could potentially lead to ineffective and inefficient audits. After that, we wanted to focus on our clients. Our clients are at the center of that vision. They're the core of everything that we work for. And we believe that our clients deserve to receive data-driven insights from an audit process. The auditors must add value to the relationship with our clients and be able to differentiate themselves in a competitive environment. After that, we then turned our attention to the skills and the demographics of our valued team members. And we believed that going forward, auditors were required to position themselves to leverage technology, which means focusing their skills on higher level tasks. Again, we believe that auditors needed to focus their insights and bring better insights into the risk assessment process, not just for the audit, but for our clients also. A more refined risk assessment process obviously positions us to be able to redefine and redirect our audit responses overall. And then finally, we surveyed the landscape of innovative partners that could fuel that acceleration. And the types of partners that we were trying to evaluate were those that were able to provide us with what we refer to as transformative elements within the audit process. Things such as risk scoring, data visualization, and data analytics, which are core to us to driving the audit of the future. And so as we moved forward with setting that vision, the second step was to be able to identify what we believed aligned not only with where the profession was headed, but where we believe we could create our own competitive advantage. The centerpiece of that assessment was for us to obviously create our vision for the audit of the future. And that assessment, again, began with a very honest review of our firm and the profession. It became evident that only a handful of years ago, the methodologies, tools, and training tactics would not sustain our profession's ability to maintain audit quality. We saw declines in audit quality. We saw significant advances in technology. We saw increased client expectations. We saw human capital trends coming out of the university system, such as fewer students going into the accounting profession and more students moving into disciplines such as data science and machine learning. We also saw that auditor skill requirements needed to change. Their communication skills, their writing skills, their data analysis skills all needed to evolve. And we needed auditors to think a little bit more like data scientists and maybe just a little less like auditors. And that requires a very different paradigm than what we were very used to within our profession. Again, that assessment was raw, it was unfiltered, but it was data-driven, and it required an understanding and an alignment among everyone inside the organization. That vision also needed to be creative, it needed to be bold, and most importantly, it needed to receive a commitment from everybody in the organization to fund it with their time, their talent, and their capital, to make sure that we were all invested and aligned along the same vision, to make sure that we understood, again, where we were, where we wanted to go, and how we were going to get there. We further understood that the complexity of data sets and our clients' operations required a very, very different response. We know that our clients want data-driven risk assessments, and tools such as data visualization and data analytics are at the core of that. We also wanted, as I said earlier, risk scoring mechanisms. We wanted to be able to filter through the noise and all of the data and the complex data sets that we were receiving, to be able to identify those core transactions that truly were risky, so that we could identify on the riskiest transactions in a data set and focus our directed audit response strictly to those risk scoring mechanisms that allowed us to be there. And so again, at the core of all of that was our ability to provide a data-driven audit for our clients and give them better insights into their own organizations. So once that broader vision was developed, we further refined that vision to create the operational infrastructure that would support the execution of that vision. We believe that the audit of the future must revolve around that audit methodology that can support those transformative elements of that data-driven process. And so that requires integrated audit solutions that complement and supplement a core audit methodology. Workflow management, the beginning through end of an entire audit process, a project management process that would allow us to integrate the tools and technologies that would seamlessly integrate into that audit methodology were a critical component of that. We also believe that we needed to move away from a documentation-based approach to auditing and to an activity-based approach to auditing that, again, would allow for a more seamless but more directed response to the data that was driving our risk assessments. So one of our primary thesis was that fewer technology tools is actually better, that sometimes many technology tools can get in the way of an integrated, seamless audit response. The integration of few tools reduces the risk of gaps in understanding, training, and delivery. And the integration of those solutions is just as important as the functionality of those solutions. So our overarching goal was to reduce the friction that can occur in an audit process, and that allows auditors to cut through that noise to focus on what really matters. One of the core challenges to achieving this vision is, of course, the quality of the data and the data literacy of all of the constituents in the process. Without high quality data that can be accessed and ingested easily and accurately, our vision will continue to face significant hurdles and elongate our success milestones. So to that end, we have focused significantly on the data quality and data ingestion process. We're going through client data literacy training. We're training our professionals to understand what quality data looks like and how to ask for the appropriate data in the appropriate format. So that refinement of that vision now allowed us to be able to go to our constituents, primarily inside our firm, but also outside our firm, and test that thesis of our vision with our clients and everybody involved in that particular process. So once we were able to change that vision and elongate the vision into what we wanted it to be over a period of years, we get to the really hard work of implementation and change management. So again, I love this quote. It's attributed to many people, but it says, if nothing changes, then nothing changes. If you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. And we take this to heart. that change management is hard. And we begin to implement change management within our organization, communication is the key. You communicate the vision over and over and over again, and you can't over communicate this. One of the ways that helped us to be able to communicate that vision was to be able to create an audit technology decision-making framework. It was a set of criteria that we developed that was our compass. It was our North Star that enabled us to be able to guide through the process quickly. And I believe when we adopted MindBridge, adhering to that decision-making framework it allowed us to be able to make those decisions about how we wanted to adopt it and where we would adopt it much more quickly. We subscribe to the notion that no strategy survives first conflict with the enemy. And this framework allowed us the ability to adapt and pivot so that we could learn quickly throughout our technology adoption process and course correct where necessary. After that, we invested significant amount of time to evaluate every aspect of our processes, our tools, and our tasks. So we went through our technology assessment. We looked at our methodologies. We identified the data that we had available to us as we were going through this data migration process, and then the data adoption and the data strategy process. We looked at how we were ingesting data, and we looked at how we were analyzing data. We were focusing on whether it was descriptive data versus diagnostic analytics. We looked at what data we had automated throughout the firm, and much of the data in the early stages was a data automation exercise. And gradually we've had to evolve that into more of a data transformation exercise to move beyond just taking data that we could automate and make it more predictive and more prescriptive in our analytics overall. Again, the goal of all of this was to be able to allow us to drive transformation and to have better insights. Once we did that assessment and communicated it to all of our constituents, then we worked on an actual strategy for development and then into the deployment phase. And as Danielle mentioned, we had to do this very quickly because all of this takes a significant amount of time. And if we are going to be able to transform how we view the audit of the future, the steps needed to be implemented quickly. So there's a lot of planning that goes into this process. We see the planning process valuable in and of itself. The strategy is an outcome of that. But again, the strategy doesn't always survive the actual implementation once you go to deploy it across a firm. The key there is to be in the planning phase with an eye towards adaptability and the ability to pivot overall. One of the key elements to all of this is having leadership buy-in from the top. The communication of the vision, the embracing of that vision, and the support for that vision are critical. Without that sort of leadership buy-in, none of this really occurs. The hardest part of all of that deployment, though, is a shift in the mindset. We've already talked about it's easy for people wanting to just want a faster horse. And getting the regular cadence of communication of the vision and the strategy and the deployment action steps is a critical important to shifting the mindset. But you have to be realistic that the mindset doesn't shift overnight. It only shifts in incremental steps, and it requires a significant amount of effort to be able to consistently stay the course to make that happen. One of the ways that we did that early on was through use cases. MindBridge was able to provide us with a tremendous library of support materials that we could build upon, but we took those materials and we scripted them in a way that were unique to our practice. We had to know our own constituents, our own individuals and professionals within the firm and their clients and how they serve their clients. And we had to shift the mindset by showing them how they could map what they're doing today to a different way of thinking about how they wanted to audit their clients and bring those insights to their clients. Creating scripts, creating use cases, and visualizations of how to do that was a very important process for us to be able to gain adoption as quickly as we possibly can. is if any of you have gone through a change management strategy in the past, you know that finding the right innovators is a very critical element of this. You want to find people that are change adopters and not change detractors. Change detractors in the early stages can really cause a change management exercise to go sideways pretty quickly. But you always want to supplement it with people that have creative and intellectually curious minds. Your best and brightest minds should be part of this process. And that's hard because they're good at so many things that they do. It's hard to take them off the line, if you will, and put them into a phase of innovation. But you need to devote the time necessary for people to learn and innovate and pivot and repeat. So training, experimenting, innovating, and allocating that appropriate time is a necessary step. It's hard sometimes to get leadership to buy into the fact that this R&D element of what you do, or the innovation lab element of what you do, is a critical part to moving the organization forward and creating overall organizational value in the future. This process, again, is not linear at all. It's a very iterative process. And you have to view it and is in the process of learning quickly, failing quickly, pivoting, and repeating. So that experimentation, that research and development mindset, and allocating the time to think and explore is critically important. So why MindBridge? Well, again, let's go to the greatest hockey player of all time, who always said, "I like to skate where the puck is going, not where it's been." For the great ones, that's very easy to do. People like Wayne Gretzky could intuitively know where the puck was going to go. For the rest of us, it's not that easy. Being able to anticipate and execute is the secret sauce of change management. And you need partners and you need tools to be able to help you execute and to be able to skate where the puck is going. When we went through that analysis, that framework that I talked about, and we went through setting the vision and communicating it and outlined where we're at and where we want to go, the how we're going to get there part is where MindBridge came in. We recognized that our existing methodology was traditional and documentation based. We recognized that we needed to transform that methodology to perform more insightful, data-driven assessments. We needed to sort through that noise and find the riskiest transactions. And we needed the ability to shift to obtaining audit evidence through precise data analytics and reduce audit sampling. And when we brought that outline to MindBridge, they were able to show us how they could check all those boxes for us. We needed that intelligent risk-based approach to sampling and a refined approach to testing journal entry, as well as other audit areas. That significant knowledge base that they provided to us in the support infrastructure is exactly the type of partnership that you need when you're trying to execute on a change management strategy. You need that kind of partner that is going to walk with you and understand that strategy. And that's what MindBridge did with us all along and continues to do with us all along. I feel that when we have our biweekly meetings with Sanjay, who is our closest rep, and Danielle and the rest of the team that meet with us periodically, they truly care about understanding where we're at in our process and where we need to go. But the best part of it is that they're not bashful about helping us understand different ways to think about our process and bring different solutions. And that's exactly what we want, because we don't have all the answers, and we are looking for partners that will help us be able to open our thinking and change our journey. So what does that future journey look like for us right now? This is perhaps one of my favorite quotes of all time. That future is what we create of it. And that's exactly the mindset that we are trying to adopt as we shift and instill this in all of our professionals. And this is hard. Again, the creation of the vision of where we want to go and how we want to create that is not something that's tangible. So we try to communicate it in highly concrete terms so that we can then give them the tools to execute on that vision. So our vision is that, again, the core of all of this is around our methodology. We're going to be deploying the DAS methodology on a wider scale this year and next across our firm. We're very committed to that because we believe that the methodology is connected, it's directed, but we need to bolt on technologies like MindBridge to transform the elements that methodology just doesn't have at the moment. So our audit process and tasks need to be re-engineered. So we're evaluating those manual tasks that we can automate. We're looking at other tasks where we can better leverage technology and use technology to provide us with the better insights that we've been talking about. We need those data-driven decisions and the insights within the audit so we can direct our risk assessment process, but also so that we can give our clients better insights. So we're leveraging MindBridge for risk assessment, journal entry testing, smart sampling, data visualization, precise analytics, many attributes across a lot of industries. And we're still at the early stages of deploying that, but with significant success thus far. You've heard me talk about that our future journey really requires data literacy, and this is an area that we will continue to focus on. We believe that data quality is the key to a lot of this. With the power of a tool like MindBridge and the power of the human intelligence that our professionals bring, doesn't work very well without quality data. But we need to train our auditors how to ask for quality data. We need to educate our clients on how to structure their data. And we need to have seamless data ingestion through technology into all of our tools. We're working on creating centers of excellence for data ingestion and data analytics in a hybrid environment with engagement professionals. And we're working on client insight communication tools so that we can give them strategic and differentiated insights. So again, our ability to think about our audit process really is driven by the vision, by the implementation, the communication, and that culture of experimentation, research and development, and the commitment to fund that with talent and capital to make that happen. Change management is a very continuous, difficult process, but with that proper vision, that proper commitment, and that dedication to execute the strategy, along with strong partners like MindBridge, your organization can also move forward in very impactful ways. So thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate your time and hope that you found some value from this.